Wow, Wonderland is not looking too hot right now. However, there's some great news on the horizon. What is up, Gem Hunters? My name is Dan from the Hidden Gem Network, and in today's video, we're going to dissect the latest announcements from Daniele Sesta about time and everything that's coming to the Wonderland ecosystem, all the changes, and we're gonna dissect this one by one. Now, really quickly, I created an entire Google Sheet that you can go ahead and also take a look at. It's on my Twitter. I'll put a link in the description so you can go to my Twitter, and in essence, I'm linking my Twitter and not the document directly because I'm hoping that I get some followers out of this because that would be cool. So again, it'll be in the description. You can see this entire document that I created, but we're gonna dive through it all and dissect everything that's happening, and most importantly, I'm going to show you what I'm doing. Make sure I'm in the right wallet. Yes, so I'm going to show you with this example, time that I have already being staked in the Wonderland app. I'm going to show you what to do and how to wrap your memo or memories. And yeah, long story short, I'm going to give you everything you need to know about this latest update. So we're going to start off dissecting the very first thing that Sesta covered. There's nothing much to this, just him going over that he's about to be elaborating really in depth on this entire thread. So let's go to the second message that he said. There's been confusion about time token price action, with the narrative of it's going down becoming more and more prevalent amongst fuzzsters. The Wonderland team has been working on educating the entire community. But it's hard because of how big the community is, massive community. So here's a fact: the price of time has been on a downtrend, and I also put a little image right down here so you can see this. But if we go and take a look at just the daily chart, okay, we can just see that it's obviously been on a downtrend for a significantly long period of time already. So let's just go from here. Let's just track this down. Yeah, it's it's not looking too hot. However, I do think that this particular solution that Sesta outlined has a massive potential to see a push to the upside. However, you're gonna notice that we're not necessarily focusing on time anymore, but rather our wrapped memo. So the other thing I wanna cover is education is very good. I noticed that with Frog Nation, I obviously am a part of Frog Nation. I believe in the community wholeheartedly. However, there's a lot of beginners that are coming in, and you can see just by the Twitter replies, the Discord, that they're not, and this is totally fine because everybody has to start somewhere, but they're not the most well-educated, and a lot of the stuff that Sesta went ahead and talked about in this thread might have gone over their heads, and it went over mine when I first read it as well. I had to dissect this literally sentence for sentence, and the reason why this document even exists is because I wouldn't have been able to figure this all out without taking a screenshot, reading it, taking a screenshot, reading it again, reading it and dissecting it as I type. So the reason this exists is because this is how I dissected everything and just went through it. So third message, we decided to take action and shift the focus from time to wrapped memo, wonderful memories. I actually didn't know that's what it was called, but I like that. So what is the benefit of this and what actions are we taking? So the benefit for wrapping your memo is essentially tax purposes, and everybody knows that already. But before I even talk about memo, people are like, memo? I thought we were talking about time. Well, yes, memo is the rebase, or I guess the reflection of time staked. And then again, rebase of time. When you stake your time right over here, right? When you stake time, you actually get memo. So that's what's reflected in your wallet over here. So if you scroll down, you could see right over here, time, you would stake your time. However, once it's staked, Wonderland, the actual protocol gives you memo. So where is this? So right over here, 2.86 memo. And again, as it goes ahead and provides you the rewards every 8 hours, it reflects in your memo balance. So this number of your memo is constantly going up. So time equals memo, wrapped memo equals memo. So, in essence, yes, time is memo, and then we can even make an argument all the way down to wrapped memo is time. But again, we're gonna dissect this as to why I'm treading lightly around saying that. So just so you understand, memo comes from staking time. That's what you get. However, you have to wrap your memo. And to wrap your memo, you'd click on wrap, and then you just click max over here, and then you'd wrap, which I'm going to get to in just a little bit because I am going to wrap my memo to show you how to do this live and kind of explain what's happening when I wrap my memo. So the benefit for wrapped memo is tax purposes. I'm not I'm not an accountant. I can't give you tax advice. However, the actual rebases that you get on your wrapped memo, they don't necessarily count as gains as far as I've read into. Again, like I said, I'm not very well versed on taxes, specifically with DAOs, because of how new they are with the rebases and all that. So again, there's other videos that explain that. I would definitely suggest checking them out. However, there's now going to be an even more beneficial use for wrapping your memo. You'll be able to provide liquidity on SushiSwap rather than Trader Joe. Now, this is going to be important, okay? So, fourth message. First, we've started to move liquidity away from Trader Joe into SushiSwap on Avalanche. And by the way, just so you know, traditionally, when you go and purchase time, if you hover over time, it would take you to Trader Joe, right? So it would take you to Trader Joe to convert your Avalanche, your AVAX, into time. Now, that's how you would get time in order to stake. However, you could see Sesta's like, we've started moving liquidity away from Trader Joe into SushiSwap on Avalanche, and this new liquidity is a new pair wrapped memo MIM. So that's the LP. All liquidity over time will be transformed in this new pair, and the price of wrapped memo will begin to be tracked as it's supposed to be. So this is so important. All liquidity over time will be transferred into the new pair wrapped memo Magic Internet Money, or MIM for short. So again, I have to reinforce this. All the liquidity, okay, over time will be transferred to wrapped memo MIM. So why is that important? I actually explained it down here. So the price of wrapped memo is going to be tracked, and I provided a link over here. You can open that link up, and this is the price of wrapped memo currently right now. So you could see, you could play around with the time frames, yada, yada. So again, just keep that in mind. So all liquidity is going to be pivoting over to SushiSwap. Remember how I just said we used to use Trader Joe to purchase time, stake our time, would get memo, etc. So we used to use Trader Joe. However, it's going over to SushiSwap because Sesta has an active role on the team for SushiSwap. So it only makes sense for him to utilize that ecosystem that he's a part of now and help grow and expand it. I mean, it's kind of obvious that he would do that. So here's the thing. Right now, if you try to sell your wrapped memo for MIM, Magic Internet Money, on Trader Joe, there's no liquidity. As a matter of fact, I'm going to wrap my memo right now, and I'm going to go ahead and try to sell my wrapped memo on Trader Joe. Now, here's the thing that a lot of people are going to be asking, is that if I wrap my memo right now, will I still be able to participate and get these rewards? Yes. Your wrapped memo still participates in the rebases. So let me show you what I'm going to do right here. So I'm going to click on, again, once you stake your time, right? So you have, if your time is staked, you have memo. So what you're going to do is you're going to click wrap. You're going to click max on memo, right? And you're going to just click wrap down here, approve the transaction, and it's going to give you wrapped memo. All right, so let it just finish pending. Great, so here we are. I have my wrapped memo, and if you ever want to unwrap it, you can just simply click the little, go back to Wonderland, obviously, click wrap, and then just click the little arrows, and you could see right over, we'll have to refresh it. Once I refresh it, it'll show my balance. You get the idea. Now, let me show you what I want to really emphasize over here. Trader Joe, wrapped memo to MIM. So if I go back to Trader Joe, and I go to wrapped memo, and then I go to MIM, all right? I'm gonna click on max, and take a look right over here, okay? So there's no liquidity, meaning that there's nobody participating in an LP to be providing that liquidity to be able to sell your wrapped memo. So you can only sell your time for, for whatever is available at that time. So again, keep in mind that you can't do it on Trader Joe. However, let's flip the script here. Let's go to Sushi Swap, okay? So I was taking a look in depth on providing liquidity because I was interested in the rates, all of that. So I'm actually gonna go to swap on Sushi Swap, and what I'm gonna do is swap from wrapped Memo, and let's just take a look at MIM, so Magic Internet Money. And if I click on Max right over here, you can see that I will be getting 7,338 MIM. So again, it's pegged to the US dollar. Again, it's not backed by, it's pegged to. So again, it has liquidity here. So if I click approve wrapped Memo, there's liquidity for me to get this much Magic Internet Money, and then Magic Internet Money, I could go ahead and sell it for Avalanche, for example. So if I click confirm, and it's just approving the contracts to be able to swap it. I'm not going to actually swap it. But again, that's interesting that now we can go ahead and sell the actual wrapped Memo that we have. So this opens up a lot of doors, and it's really interesting. And I'll dive into that in just a second. So Sushi Swap does allow you to go ahead and swap for Magic Internet Money, but Trader Joe doesn't. So long story short, it's a phenomenal time to wrap your time, to wrap your Memo at that point, right? Because time equals Memo, wrapped Memo equals Memo, obviously. So let's go to the fifth point. Market cap adjusted. This should make it more clear to everyone that we are investing into wrapped Memo and not time. Now, Daniele is saying that the market cap should be adjusted, obviously, and that users are investing into Memo and not time. So most of us right now, we're all introduced to Wonderland Time. But here's the thing, is that yes, we're buying time, but we're essentially investing into memories, into Memo, right? So time isn't even what you, so yes, time is what you stake. Memo is what you, so I have to change this. So Memo is what you actually get when your time is staked. So you stake your time, and the reflection is Memo, and obviously rebases, etc. So Memo is what you stake and get rebases on. So buying and selling time doesn't do much for the community or even yourself. So again, it's just like buying and selling of Wonderland Time. People are looking at the price very heavily of time, and they should actually be paying attention now to wrapped memories. So when you stake your time, you're putting that money back into the treasury. So you know how you went from AVAX to time in order to purchase time? You had to have Avalanche, the AVAX token, to swap it. You're essentially putting in that investment back into the treasury with your time when you stake it, so it can be invested on your behalf and earn interest, aka rebase, or aka ROI or money, for you and the entire community as a whole. But here's the problem, is that, and understand this, it causes inflation of the Memo token. Think about this, okay? So think about this right here. So right over, where was this? So right over here, when you buy your time and stake your time, Memo is the rebase, essentially what you're getting rewarded on. However, it's constantly being created. So if there's more Memo that's being created, it causes inflation. It's very simple, inflation theory here. So with more Memo over thousands of wallets, the price is inevitably going to go down. Think of supply and demand here, okay? So there's more and more Memo being created, being generated, being minted, and that means it's worth less because of how much there is. The supply is just forever growing, and that's what will, essentially make the underlying value of Memo time be be worth less over time, no pun intended. So why wrapped Memo? So why wrap Memo at that point? So what's the whole ordeal of this? Because if you wrap your Memo, you're still making the same amount of APY. The rebase is still the same. So you know how I just wrapped my my Memo? it doesn't mean that I lose the rebase rewards. It's still reflected into the wrapped memo like I'm staking time. But this is where things get really cool, is that instead of more tokens, you're generating more value essentially. So remember this, time equals memo. There's an 8-hour and by the way, I got this from the Discord. Somebody sent me the image of this. I just can't remember exactly what user posted this, so I'm sorry if you're the user and you're reading this and they say, wait, it looks close to my post. Yes, I actually got this from their Discord. So time equals memo, 8 hours equals a rebase, which means more memo because every single 8 hours you get more memo, the rebase given to you essentially. So wrapping your memo means you have wrapped memo. 8 hours means that the price of wrap memo goes up the same percentage of your memo rebase. So let me put it to you this way. You see this percentage, the 0.5952, it's going to be the same percentage that my wrapped memo goes up. So that doesn't change. Just because I don't have, if I refresh this, just because I don't necessarily have my wrapped memo, so wrap balance over here, just because I don't have it showing memo, it still is it still is giving me rewards even though it's wrapped. So a lot of people think that they're not going to get the rewards if they wrap it, and that's not true. So rebase is consistent no matter if you're holding memo or wrapped memo. So it's in your best interest to just have wrapped memo, but not only in your best interest, the community's best interest. So wrapped memo maintains value without diluting the underlying price of the actual token. So this means that you are going to inflate the token, but still helping the DAO, so still helping the protocol at the same exact time. So if you wrap your memo, it becomes wrapped memo. Then then you don't need to use Wonderland anymore because the wrapped memo is rebasing automatically for you. Now this is huge. The value is increasing naturally, so you don't have to purchase time to stake it. Okay, so you can simply, this is so cool. You can just buy wrapped memo. So you remember how I just showed you before how you can go to SushiSwap and exchange your wrapped memo for MIM? Well, if the wrapped memo is automatically rebasing, aka automatically giving you rewards, ROI, whatever you want to call it, why go through the hassle of buying time, stake time, wrap it, when you can just go to SushiSwap, buy wrapped memo, and it automatically rebases regardless. So it removes the whole point of needing to buy time, all of that. But it gets a little deeper, and we'll explain in just a second. So again, this is my key takeaway. This is huge. This is important since wrapped memo will be cross-chain. You can go to any chain and start buying wrapped memo that obviously they roll out to. And no matter what chain you are on, it will automatically start rebasing for you no matter what chain you're on. So the reason this is good for cross-chain is because different chains have different utility for lending your wrapped memo. For example, you can borrow against wrapped memo perhaps in the future on Phantom, and think Abracadabra. On the biggest reason that a lot of people know you can borrow is because of futures, aka people getting liquidated, yada yada. So 6, I'm going to start moving a little faster here because this video is getting long. Another advantage of this new liquidity is the fact that by adding so many time to staking, a lot of inflation coming from the runway distribution goes into the liquidity pool directly and into DAO holdings, resulting in less dilution for the holders and a slightly lower APY. So TLDR, more time being staked equals more inflation that incurs because of the fact that more memo is being created. Literally, more memo is just being created, right? However, the LP, the actual liquidity being provided, the liquidity to be able to go ahead and just sell your wrapped memo, for example, is going to the DAO. Now, again, the LP, the liquidity pool, is going to the DAO, to the treasury. So if you start generating more memo by staking time, you're naturally going to cause inflation. However, if all holders have wrapped memo, then it causes less inflation, but still provides utility value to the protocol. Now, wrapped memo, like you just saw, is now liquid. Holders are going to be helping the treasury and driving liquidity because the wrapped memo is increasing in value and you participate in an LP that then you can help the entire protocol entirely and the community in totality. So second, this new pair becomes the base layer for our cross-chain expansion to selling bonds on Phantom and Arbitrum to begin with. But if you don't sell time, what kind of bonds are you selling? Meaning, if you're going to Wonderland, you know how they have the mint feature over here? This is bonding. If you're not selling time, it's a bond time, what are you selling, right? So that means the only way, just so you know, new time tokens or coins are created is by the treasury minting them. So again, that's why minting is so profitable for the treasury and very important to the ecosystem, is because that's how new tokens are created. So long story short, these LPs can be cross-chain. Also, it's important to know that you won't be able to mint time anymore. No more time. No more time is being minted. They're getting rid of the actual bonds. As you can see, time. Let me actually open this up for you. So time MIM LP, this will be gone, and then the time AVAX, it's gone, right? So again, you can't essentially utilize those LPs anymore. And that's really important because of this. The idea of the project is to expand the ratio between market cap and treasury, creating more value for the token holders. We reduced the traditional bonds on Avalanche that are highly diluted in favor of new bonds selling wrapped memo directly from treasury without minting new ones. Minting more time dilutes the price. Instead, buying wrapped memo from the treasury, you're still providing liquidity. You're still providing value to the protocol, to the treasury, because the wrapped memo won't be minted, won't be created. So the old way was minting time, bonding time, and the DAO creates. That's how the tokens are created, right? They come from the treasury. They come from the protocol. They mint new tokens, causing inflation. So then the rebases into the LP already generates revenues from Wonderland that are captured by selling those and part of the runway into the wrap memo MIM LPs, Phantom, MIM, Ethereum, on other chains, etc. So TLDR, the rebase currently that holders are getting are providing value still, but holders are going to see better gains. However, wrapped memo is going to provide better liquidity for holders without minting more time, which helps prevent inflation, okay? So this whole new mechanic should be able to increase the amount of funds in the treasury to be reinvested back into the protocol and reduce inflation across the board, giving a lot more to stakers and long-term wrapped memo holders. So more money into the treasury equals more growth and expansion for the protocol, which means that more investable money into the treasury equals more investments, more backing, more value. Long story short, the price goes up, right? So this is their solution, and it's so smart because it encompasses sushi, Wonderland, abracadabra. It's just, this is where I keep reinforcing that the ecosystem is the reason why this project is going to thrive. So long story short, don't be silly, wrap your memo. That's pretty much it. If you guys enjoyed this, slap a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.